Hello, hope all is well. Today I'll be talking to you on my persuasive speech, and we fix the brightness, which is on whether or not teenagers should be able to purchase violent video games. So, video games have been around for a long time, as early as the 1940s. Surprisingly, it's back when computers were like huge and they had like this huge desktop and stuff like that, and you had to plug in like wires and stuff into it. Video games have been around since then. But with time and technology, the evolution of games has really progressed. Now you can play on a phone, TV, computer, laptop. I've even seen a video of a guy. He brought his game system to a movie theater and somehow attached it to like the overhead and the movie theater and played in the movie theater. Really cool stuff. Video games have come a long way. So, violent video games. So, my first topic is on the history of games to give you a little bit more background so you have a better understanding of where games come from. So the video game industry brings in over $21 billion in revenue annually and now have their own gaming sports league called the esports. Esports have been around for a few years now. I remember when I saw my first ever game on ESPN. It comes on ESPN. I'm not sure which channel. And it features games like League of Legends, Street Fighter, Super Smash Brothers, and other games like that. And all of those games include some sort of violence. And if it's broadcasted on national television, I'm pretty sure the public doesn't see it as too much of a problem. Anyways, as early as the 1940s, Thomas T. Goldsmith Jr. and Estelle R. Mann patented an instrument called the cathode ray tube amusement device. This device is basically it uses a screen overlay, which are screens displayed on an app over a device. So if you have a smartphone, let's see if I can, this top screen right here, where you see the lock screen, and you see the Sprint service connection. That's basically a screen overlay. And it's the one that these guys use to create their first digital game, in a sense. In 1958, William Higginbottom created the first electronic game called Tennis for Two. A lot of people know Tennis for Two. It's iconic for having the small white ball and the two platforms, and you hit the ball back and forth. It was basically like air hockey in today's time, but digitally. The first genuine video game was created in 1967 by an engineer named Ralph Baer, who also created the first violent video game and video game console called the Magnavox Odyssey. That was the name of the console, which featured the first shooting game, and it used a rifle as its device. So Wii Sports, or Wii in general, has incorporated this idea. It's basically, if you've ever seen in any kind of video game store, they have in the Wii section, they have golf clubs where you put the Wii stick inside of the golf club and you use it to play the game. They also have shooting guns, and you'd put the Wii stick inside of the gun. It doesn't actually shoot anything, it's just used in the game. So they use this idea as the first video game console, essentially. So now that you have the background, our second topic, or my second topic, will be on the psychology of violent and aggressive games. According to Rebecca Bernstein of the University of CUT, most video games offer a rewards and punishment system. If you follow the rules and do what you're supposed to, one will be rewarded, or if not, they'll be punished. Although video games are known to create addictions, the majority of those addictions do not result in violent behavior, such as loneliness, stress, poor academic achievement, and sleeping problems. So there's no real link between aggressive behavior and violent video games, essentially. However, according to Christopher Ferguson, a psychologist at Texas A&M, he says that research recommends that playing aggressive video games might actually have positive effects on young adults, like better stress management. So let's say you had a long day at work or school or wherever, and you want to release some stress. So you come home and there's video games for everybody. I'm serious. Like there's farming games, of course, violent games. They have car racing games, sports, whatever it is. A lot of games out there. And if you have a lot of pent up anger or stress or whatever, playing video games is a way to help cope with that. In addition, playing video games provides a social network, like the feeling of being a part of something bigger than yourself, or comparing achievements with one another to see who's the best and whatnot. A little bit of competition in a sense. And in addition, my next topic will be on the actual crimes. The actual crimes that have been incorporated into violent video games. According to Pros and Cons of Gaming, from 1994 to 2014, the sales of M-rated games increased 204%, while violent crimes decreased 37%, and murders by juveniles decreased by 76%. I know that's a lot of information. Long story short, that means that while the increase of video game sales that had aggressive actions in them, they increased a lot, while the actual crime rate decreased between juveniles that were playing video games, basically. The number of high school students who had been in at least one fight lowered from 43% in 1991 to 25% in 2013. In 2011, according to the Pros and Cons of Gaming, the Supreme Court ruled that the state of California cannot ban the sale of violent video games to juveniles in the case of Brown versus the Entertainment Merchants Association. This was one of the first cases on a national scale that actually showed that violent video games had no merit in prohibiting the sale of violent games. And this is one of the first cases that showcased that. Also, a peer-reviewed study done in August 2014 showed that the annual trends in video game sales for the past 33 years were unrelated to violent crime. Monthly sales of video games were related to concurrent decreases in aggravated assaults, according to the Pros and Cons of Gaming. And with all that being said, this basically means that video games have no real correlation between, or violent video games have no real correlation between aggressive behavior and violent actions between young adults or juveniles, if you will. This wraps up my persuasive speech. I hope you enjoyed it. In short, this means that there's nothing wrong with juveniles or teenagers purchasing violent video games, and I hope you enjoyed this speech. Thank you.